2024 meeting. And man, what a great week. We started with graduation yesterday. Tomorrow is virtual school graduation. And Friday we celebrate the teachers that are retiring. It's going to be just a wonderful week. And so as we start this meeting, I'm asking for someone to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add something to our agenda at 6.4, executive session location.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda with the addition of discussion over executive session location. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor vote yes.
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 All those opposed vote no. No. And I take it the yeses have it?
Yes.
Okay. And so we will go on.
Where do you want that put?
What's that?
Where do you want that added?
Oh, 6.4, he said?
Yeah, I mean, that would be in the natural order.
And if you'll just let us know, I'll go on to the next thing, but if you'll just let us know when to refresh. All right, 1.2. The mission of USD 489 is to provide a quality learning experience for every student in every classroom every day. To support the mission of the district, the USD 489 Board of Education includes supporting a vision that encompasses high student achievement, highly effective staff, effective and positive communications, effective management of resources. Also vital to keeping focus on the district's mission and vision are that the USD 489 Board of Education supports the district core values, being a champion for all kids, bringing your best every day, carrying the banner for your school and district, and selling and creating possibilities and opportunities for students for their futures. And so that brings us to the consent agenda, item number 2. We have a motion to approve that.
Mr. President, I request to move 2.6 out of the consent agenda, please.
Okay. And I also want to go ahead and let Mr. Wilson discuss anything that you think needs to be discussed here.
Yep. In pretty standard consent agenda, board meeting minutes from previous meetings, site council minutes from Hayes Middle School and Wilson Elementary. We have some ECC reports, director's report, and policy council minutes, financials.
Two things. There was an invoice we added that was requested at the last meeting, and also you'll see ESSER 3. So we're in the last full fiscal year of ESSER, which was the COVID. Couldn't tell you what it stands for anymore now. Secondary education relief, something or other. But you can see total allocation across the last 3 years was $3.6 million. We've spent $3.5 so far. We've got about another 110 encumbered. So we'll have summer school coming up. That'll be most of the balance, and then whatever's left will be some PD stuff over the summer to finish that out.
Mr. Depp, I know a lot of school districts are having a lot of trouble when they're having to lay off people because they weren't planned ahead. We're planned ahead. We don't have to lay off anybody because we're losing those funds.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to speak to other districts, but we did. We were strategic in how we went, and we are not eliminating any positions that were created at that time, that were created as a result of the funds.
We have already eliminated some, though, haven't we?
No.
They were like a nurse or something that was purchased with that? No, we've kept all those positions?
Yeah, we've kept them all and
we
plan
have
to
a
keep them
plan
into next year, yes.
To keep,
Yeah.
We have enough money to continue.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to approve? Oh, got one more thing. Okay.
On personnel, you have your standard personnel employments, resignations, but 3 retirements I wanted to highlight. Vicki French, who has been a sped para at Hayes Middle for 28 years, will be retiring. I want to celebrate her. Carolyn Riley, assistant cook at Hayes High for 5 years. She will be retiring, as well as Gabe Flax, who has been a PE teacher at Roosevelt and has been with the district for 21 years. So congratulations to all those, as they also get added to the graduation list.
All right. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I would so move.
Does Mr. Park still want 2.6?
It's out.
Yes, it's already out.
Oh, it was out. Okay.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor vote yes?
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed vote no. All right, which brings us to our, okay, which brings us to 3.1, public comment. Do I have anybody here that wishes to make public comment this evening? Okay, and so the board requests that all members of the public respect the rules outlined below so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input will be given the chance. Speakers are asked to start with stating name and address where they reside. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes to make their presentations. Speakers are asked to make only points that have not been made previously. Except to ask clarifying question, board members shall not interact with speakers at the open forum. The board asks that all members of the public respect these rules so that everyone that wants an opportunity to provide input that has not already been given will have the chance. All right.
I'm Bill Flipsy, 1309 East 21st Street. I am beginning to think that this board has no intention of having an open meeting with the community to discuss mainly these gender-neutral bathrooms. If you do have any intention, I would really appreciate seeing something getting set up, some comments about it or something. I think that there's a lot that's been said that's not clear. For example, when the high school principal was here and talking about these bathrooms, he did a great job of explaining a lot of things. But like Ms. Getz, you made a comment about these stalls being so small that we can't get 2 people in there. And you said, if I'm correct, about 2 foot by 2 foot. I don't know why that wasn't corrected. There is no bathroom stall 2 foot by 2 foot. You can't even get the stool in that area. There are regulation sizes of stalls. You've got to have an ADA, or in other words, a handicap stall. You could get 5 people in that stall if you wanted to. And in any regular stall, you can get at least 2 people in there. So I don't know why that's not being corrected, and get it straight out there. Alan Park asked a question about why do we have to have boys and girls in the same one. I don't know about you, but I did not get a clear answer to that. I've yet to see why. I haven't heard one good reason why we need to go to gender-neutral bathrooms. If any of you have a good reason, let me know what that is. I'll give you, here's my main point that I have about why we maybe shouldn't. We're going to have girls that are going to be having their period during school. Let's say they go into a stall with white pants on and they get blood on their white pants. Are you expecting our girls to walk out of that stall in front of a bunch of boys and other girls and have to go around to where the sink is to try to get that cleaned up? What are we subjecting our kids to? We talk about having these stalls that are so secure that no smell will get out. I don't know what you expect when you go into any public restroom, but it's there. You have that. What are we expecting our kids to expect when they go out into the workforce? Are they going to have stalls that are smell-proof?
Right. That was your 3 minutes. Anybody else have public comment? Thank you.
My name is Nikki Houchin, 3710 Summer. I wasn't going to speak this time, but I thought I would speak a little bit. I think we need to change the name of the bathrooms to private bathrooms. It is not gender neutral. It is anybody. So private bathrooms would be a good name to use going forward. I can tell you, I have a daughter that just graduated, has gone through the bathrooms, and she will tell you that these bathrooms she wished she had now. As far as if a female is on their period, they are brought up to know what to do, and if they need help, they know where to go find help. I don't think they are concerned that they're going to walk down the hall and run into a boy that may look at them and see something. That's not the concern that these students have. The concern these students have is being able to go into a bathroom that is safe, where they can have some time by themselves to do what they need to do. The bathrooms right now are not safe. There's bullying, there's things that go on, there's cameras, there's phones. You don't have to go very far to hear some of the horror stories that come out of this. These bathrooms are not the only bathrooms in the school. There's still the normal bathrooms. There's still going to be a handicap bathroom. There's still going to be a family bathroom. It's bigger so that there's space for people who need this space. This has been discussed and discussed and discussed. I don't know what people are wanting changed about it. It's in the plans, it's going. There's nothing else we can do about it except try to embrace the idea of going to private bathrooms in some parts of the school so that teachers can also have one close by where they're not with the students as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Any other public comment? All right. Seeing no one else, we will go on to Section 4, presentations, and we're starting with Senior Career X presentations, and I can't believe a senior is able to be up here tonight, so good job on them.
Yeah. Before Mrs. Hickert speaks, I want to just, this week Mrs. Hickert invited me to take part in her finals for Career X. And I had the opportunity to sit in and listen to some of the students that you're going to hear tonight, just their presentations about what their experience during their Career X year. And so I think sometimes as a board, it's important to hear this, in a sense, this is, if you think of ourselves as a manufacturing service, this is the final product, what you're going to see tonight. All these individuals graduated yesterday. And I think you will be very proud for what they're going to share with you and their insight into what they've learned through their Career X experience. And I think it's what we're doing at Hades High with kids, helping them prepare for the next chapter is just phenomenal. So I'm going to let Ms. Hickert, she's definitely has a big part of what we're doing there, and want her to share some of the things.
I don't need any of this spotlight. I want to share all of my time with these 4 graduates of Hayes High. They willingly said yes, not even a beat of hesitation when I asked them Friday morning at rehearsal, can you be at the board meeting to talk 1 to 2 minutes about your experience? They'll probably have some questions for you, but you're all going to do great. They instantly, not a beat of hesitation, said yes. So these are quality humans. I am so impressed with their experiences, their presentations. I just would share that the goal of Career X is not to seal the deal on a career. But one of the things we talked about in our roundtable discussions was, think back 10 years when you were in 2nd grade. What did you want to be when you grew up? That's a question everyone asks. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, I would say overall, of the 50 students who participated this semester, About half of them had some different idea 10 years ago of what they thought they wanted to be when they grow up. All the boys wanted to be pro ball players, which is awesome. And a lot of teachers, astronauts, veterinarians. But we know that at the elementary level, you're really exposed to about 5 careers. You're exposed to teachers and education. You're exposed to medical professionals. You're exposed to emergency responders, athletes usually, but that doesn't rank among like career tech necessarily, and whatever your parents do. So about 5 careers is what a second grader is typically exposed to and has knowledge of and thinks they want to pursue. By middle school, our goal is to expose them to more of an array of careers, and by high school, we're hoping to give them the time and the experience to whittle down that field so that they're not spending post-secondary time and money on a career field that's just not them. Medical field isn't Grey's Anatomy, and working with law enforcement isn't CSI or NYPD. It's not that. Teaching isn't just what you see in the classroom, it's the behind the scenes. So I'm thankful that we have an array of experiences here. Lexi and Cameron both had medical experiences. Carson had a tech experience in marketing business, and Lily was in education. And they're all each going to speak for about a minute or two and share their experiences. And if you have questions, excuse me, please ask. They are here to impress.
My name's Cameron Summers, and I did my shadow at Hayes Medical OB Center. Day-to-day basis, we signed in, went to our stations or units that we were assigned to. I'd like to thank the nurses that I got to shadow and the teachers. I got to watch the nurses do their job, help patients, and I really tried to observe and listen to what was happening around me. Some highlights was watching a mother's body heal postpartum, being able to watch a mother dilate, watch a mom learn how to breastfeed a baby for the first time, and just watch the amazing beauty behind a woman's body. Some courses I took to prepare me were human biology, family studies, biology, my CNA, and my CMA class. My plans after high school, I plan to attend Fort Hayes, major in nursing, earn my RN, my APRN, and hopefully my DNP, and maybe one day open my own practice.
Oh, good job.
Okay. I don't remember. Okay. I'm Lily Garrison, and I went to Wilson Elementary. I shadowed a 3rd grade classroom. I wasn't able to go all day, so I just went at the end of the day, so sometimes the students were a little rowdy, but it was fun. So day to day, obviously sign into the office. Students would usually be at recess, so I would either wait in the classroom with the teacher or go out to recess if she had recess duty. After that, students would come in, we would have English and social studies, and then wrapping up the day. So during that time, I would work with certain students that needed extra help so that I could keep them on task and make sure they were learning to the best of their ability. The highlight of mine was probably working with students that struggled a little bit more, just because whenever they finally got it, they really were just happy about it. And so that was my favorite part. It was, although challenging at times, it was really fun. My future plans are to attend Fort Hayes State and play golf there. My major is currently undecided. I'm still thinking education, but I'm not sure early childhood or elementary education is quite for me. They're a little too rowdy for my kind. Thank you.
Good job.
Hi, I'm Lexi Burton, and I shadowed at 2 different locations. I started off at Hayes Med, and there I just checked in with my supervisors, reported to my department. I was in labor and delivery, and I observed C-sections, labor, and outpatient care. Some highlights were viewing a cesarean section and epidurals. I thought I wanted to be an OB, but this experience showed me that I actually do not want to do that. My second location was Great Plains Dermatology. I would report to the clinic, and they would tell me either to go to the surgical or the clinical side, and I would shadow as they did surgery or as they went in with patients to do biopsies or just regular skin checks. I watched a lot of Mohs surgery and skin grafts. Some courses to prepare me for this experience was human biology, biology, and chemistry. After the completion of high school, I plan to attend Fort Hays State University, majoring in biology. I will go to medical school, and I hope to become a dermatologist. Thank you.
My name is Carson Ryan. I did my career X at Next Tech. So my typical day, I meet with my supervisor around 1 o'clock, and we'd see what kind of work we had for the day. It could range from a variety of things, meetings and stuff. Some of my highlights was getting to know everybody at the Next Tech office. Everybody who's there is really passionate about what they do, and can go, and every time I was with them, they would go in depth of what they do and give me a good understanding. Another highlight was also running the Yellis TikTok, which was a new thing Next Tech had started to do, and my supervisor put a lot of trust into me for kind of the path for that, and running the social media side of that as well. Some courses that helped me prepare for this was computer classes, business economics, and business essentials. My post-secondary plans is to go to Fort Hays for public relations and advertising.
All right.
This is just a very small snippet of the experiences our students had this spring. But if you have questions, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer.
So would you recommend Career X to all the students coming in?
Yes.
All right. All right. And
Just do what you want to do, what you don't want to do, before you spend the money.
I'm so happy to see all of you two looking at staying at Fort Hays and staying local. They have so much to offer right here, so I'm so proud of all 4 of you for doing that. You have no idea how lucky you are to have this now as an opportunity. Back in the 80s, long time ago, we didn't have that opportunity. It was your basic courses, so you kids are very fortunate that the district and your counselors allow that help for you. I would like to say that as far as that, those of you that did the medical part, did it made you look to see that you really want to be a doctor, or was nursing where you wanted to go?
I wanted to be a doctor.
Nursing's always where I wanted to go.
yeah. So did you get your CNA this year? Then?
Yeah, my CNA and CNA.
All right. Good job.
That's through the VOTEC, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Well, Cameron, were you the third grader? Were you the one that said you were the third grade, you knew you wanted to be the nurse?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Very good, kids. Very proud of you.
So is it an enrolled class then?
Which
Is it an
class?
enrolled class? You take the class?
Yeah.
Career X.
Career
Yeah.
X.
Career Ed, and then it's
Yes.
what, fourth hour or last hour? Is that, or is it any time?
It's, the medical ones are all 1 block experience, and the others can be a couple of blocks in their schedule. Next year it'll be a maximum of 2 blocks per semester. So it'll be half a day, every other day, or every day at the same time. But it is a scheduled block. It is an academic experience. They had to take a final. So this year their final was groups of 6 or 8 students, and we did a roundtable discussion. Mr. Wilson came to one of those blocks, and then we had, I had almost every hour had 6 or 8 students. But they shared with each other. They asked each other questions about their time. They shared experiences and highlights and pros and cons and all the things. It was just a great discussion, and they gave feedback about what worked and what didn't work as far as our time tracking and our communication with them, because once they sign out, they're out for the day. We don't see them during that time. They're out doing real work. As you heard from them, they get to see real stuff and do real things, which is incredible for students who don't really have credentials yet. They're really getting in there and getting to do things. And one of the questions I asked them is, how do you build trust with your employer? ask good questions, be engaged, be involved, show up every day, act interested, ask what you can do, and they'll trust you to do things. A lot of students got to do some mock projects and like trials, like engineering and design kind of projects last semester, which was really interesting to hear. In the fall, their final is a career expo. So we had every student have set up like a vendor fair sort of, but they all brought displays of their career experiences, and then we invited all of the GPS students to come through and visit each of the tables. Teachers came through on their planned periods. Y'all would be welcome to come. It'll be in December. I'll send an invite. But please come and see their hard work. They have incredible experiences, and that's thanks so much to our business partners here in the community.
I just want to say how proud I am of you guys for not only taking this class, but also like coming to a conclusion about whether or not you are interested in this field, because it takes a lot of courage and self-reflection to say, you know, hey, this is really interesting. I am going to pursue this, or even more so to be like, ooh, you know what, I don't think this is for me. And I'm really proud that you guys were able to make those decisions. So good for you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Well, good job. Enjoy your freedom. All right, that brings us to 4.2, the USD 489 librarians presentation. Thank you, seniors. Graduates.
Well, while that's connecting, we just want to say thank you for allowing us to come and speak to you tonight. We tried to get here last month because it was National Library Month for the month of April, but you all were really busy during the month of April. So here we are now. We're going to introduce ourselves. I am Christy O'Borney. I am the librarian at O'Laughlin Elementary.
I'm Karen Wilson. I'm the librarian at Lincoln Elementary, the middle school and high school.
I am Michelle Callahan. I'm the Roosevelt librarian.
And I'm Lynette Armstrong, and I'm the librarian at Wilson Elementary.
So we just have a few things we wanted to share with you. Each of our schools has a few things that we wanted to highlight that are special this year, things that we really couldn't do until this year with the addition of 1.5 librarians. So again, thank you so much for seeing that vision through and allowing us to be of service to our students.
And I'm going to start out by saying I cannot take credit for any of this. I have a fabulous secretary, Jill Shaven, who she's there full-time because I'm at 3 different schools. I'm at the elementary half-time, 2.5 days, and then I split the rest of my time between the middle and high school. But we try to make the library an inviting place for everyone. The Welcome to the Library, that was the first display that Jill came up with. I did not do it, came up with, and it just made everyone feel comfortable that walk into the library, they'd see that before they walked into the library. We've had other displays. We had I Spy. Our final display, which I thought about putting a picture up, was Guess the Teacher. Had senior or staff member, had senior pictures of staff members throughout Hayes High, and they had to figure out who they were. My granddaughter couldn't even figure out which one was me. So the Creative Commons, that was actually Mr. Henderson's idea. Before I started there at the end of last spring, I talked to him about it, and we sectioned off a piece of the library for Creative Commons. And classes can come in. We have all sorts of materials if they need to make posters, presentations, and that has been a fantastic addition to the library. It's brought a lot of classes in, and it's provided a lot for the students. It's met a need that they really needed. We're looking, hopefully, when we move to the high school, we'll move that over with us. and hopefully be able to expand on it a little bit. And then the middle school, again, I cannot take credit for any of this. We did hire a new library secretary this year who is amazing. I would say, I think we should do this. Thinking, a few weeks or so it'd be done. I'd come back the next week and she had it finished. We organized the library. We moved some sections together, the fiction section together, nonfiction section. She created for our series, we have series separated out. She created posters so the kids, they could see the poster, they would know that's where the series is located. We created, suggested reading lists. If you like horror, these are the stories you would like to read. If you like sports, these are books you might be interested in. Those signs on the ends of the bookshelf, that's what those are our lists. We have a few more ideas for next year. I basically spent my time getting used to both those libraries and kind of getting my feet wet a bit. We had presentations. This one picture, we had the Hayes Public Library come in and speak to all reading students, 6th through 8th grade, about the summer reading program. It's amazing how often both the middle school and the high school libraries get used. Even if you saw our newsletters, ping pong, I guess they had archery in there. I wasn't there for archery. I'm not sure what they did, but they had a science presentation, but they used the library a lot. It's great to see it get used. And then Lincoln, this is my 5th year at Lincoln. Our year was all about collaboration. I came up with ideas to get the students working together. In February, we read a Valentine's book about what love is. And I had the kids, I pulled out Legos. I have Legos that I got several years ago. Because we are a Title I school, we have access to First Book, which provides low-cost books for Title I schools. And about 2 years ago, they had a program where they gave away Legos for, you just pay handling. And so I have about 30 boxes. They're just all mixed Legos, but it's fun. The kids love it when I pull them out. And I pulled them out and I had them working together to show what love was to them. And it was really interesting. A lot of the kids built houses, built homes. The second picture, when we were working with the Dewey Decimal System, I have cards with animals. I gave them to them. I said, okay, build a zoo. They're like, what? Then the next week we talked about organization in the Dewey Decimal System. So we spent a lot of time collaborating, working together, and learning what they need to know in the library to be successful library students.
A couple of things. I just realized too that mine all have to do with food in the library, which if you hear my students, it's a big no-no, but we do it anyway. So the one on the left is a chew and chat. This is something that I did 5 times of the year. We always do the William Allen White Challenge with 3rd through 5th grade students. All of our libraries do that, where they read the books and then they can vote. That's a Kansas State Book Award. But this year, to keep the kids engaged throughout the year, I had these designated days that we were going to eat in the library. Anyone who read any of the William Allen White books and did a summary on them was invited. They just brought their own lunch in and we would sit and we would talk. And the conversations that we had over these books all year long was phenomenal. Different kids came and went through each time. And then at the end of the year, we had our big celebration where I went out and bought them lunch, and then we had our lunch in the library. But they really enjoyed it. They're excited about it for next year. They were already like begging me to send the books home with them over the summer. And I told them that they can go to the public library and get those. And then our book clubs, this is something that, because we are now housed in the library, since I'm in the library full time, I do some support classes with 3rd through 5th grade, and in 2nd grade I do enrichment classes, so we do book clubs. And the kids love it. You know, they get to choose the book and we all read together. And I mean, there's no worksheets or projects or anything like that. We're just reading together and enjoying literature together. And they love it. And of course, at the end, our celebration, we always do some type of themed food or themed snack. So this was one of my groups. We had just read a camping story, so we had s'more Pop-Tarts. So again, that was something else that we hadn't really had, I wasn't able to devote a lot of time to until this year.
Okay, I'm a brand new librarian. I've been in the classroom since 2004, but this is my very first year as a librarian. So a lot of my year was spent emailing and calling and texting these women behind me trying to figure out how to do my own job, which they were very good at telling me how to do. But I know that speaking from a teacher, like a classroom teacher's standpoint, having limited specials teachers available really puts kind of a burden on the librarians who are trying to make it fun and trying to make it engaging, but being stretched so thin across multiple buildings. So having the chance for each elementary school to have one home-based librarian has really opened up a lot of doors for everybody. Just at Roosevelt alone, we haven't had a book fair at Roosevelt since 2014. And so this was our first year having a book fair in our building. So none of the children in our building have ever experienced a book fair until this year because it's such a huge undertaking. So when you have multiple buildings to take care of, it is a lot. Some of the things that I wanted to highlight up here, we had a special spotlight this year in our building. So all of the specials teachers, the PE, art, STEM, and music, thank you. Each classroom teacher sent out their special schedule, and parents were invited to each and every special with their child all week long. So parents were coming in and out of the building. I mean, it was a madhouse for an entire week. People were in and hanging out with their children, seeing what they do at the classes that they don't usually think of when you think of, how was your day at school? You know, how was math? How was reading? And you don't really think, what did you do in library? So it was a good way for parents to get a better picture of what their children do at Roosevelt. We had grandparents, we had parents, we had little brothers and sisters come. It was pretty packed. So it was very successful, and everybody, all the families loved it. It's definitely something that we're going to continue. And then another thing that I wanted to highlight from the Roosevelt Library year is the Starbucks room transformation that I worked on with my secretary, my library secretary, who helps me immensely as well. You know, I'm kind of an over-the-top type of person, and so I have all these big dreams, and the teachers in my school just kind of go along with it. So I relocated the library for an entire week to an empty classroom that we have transitioned in and out of during all of our construction. So it was a Starbucks, and each class got to taste or sample different books from different genres. There was little papers that they would fill out, notes on books that they liked or didn't like, something that they would maybe be interested in checking out in the future. Starbucks donated little pup cup sized cups, and we had lemonade refreshers while we sampled different books, and then those sheets that they were taking notes on came with them to their next library class, and they were, you know, saying, oh, I wanted to check this book out, or oh, where did you put that one, that kind of thing. Huge success. We did it K through 5, and it was different for each grade level, obviously, but that's also something that I would like to continue, and since we have the time, let's do it. Let's have fun.
All right.
At Wilson, this is my first year. I was trying to calculate before I came in tonight. I think this is my first time in 13 years to be at one building. And so I really tried to go over the top with some of the activities we had this year. On the left-hand side of the screen there, one of my main goals was to really amp up the activities I had planned for Read Across America Week, which is usually the first week of March. It's associated with Dr. Seuss's birthday. And in the past, we kind of kept our activities pretty minimal because I didn't have time to do a lot of planning. But this year, we had something each day of the week. We had one day where we had partnered with the Hayes broadcast team at Hayes High School, and we invited 2 basketball players from Hayes High School to record themselves reading a book that we then were able to play to all the kids at our school. But we concluded our week with Flashlight Friday, and thanks to the 489 Foundation, we were able to purchase a classroom set of flashlights for each teacher, and the kids took part of their day that Friday to read by flashlight. The teachers will get to keep those flashlights, and so I'm sure a week like this that kids are amped up and ready to hit their summer. It'd be nice to pull those flashlights out for 15 or 20 minutes and calm down and read books by flashlight. So that was one of my main goals, was to really do some things that we hadn't had the opportunity to do in the past few years. But one of the things that really was exciting here at the end of our year was kind of spearheaded by Krista Brooks. She started looking into purchasing a book vending machine for our school. So thanks to the 489 Foundation, thanks to Midwest Energy, and our home and school, we were able to purchase a vending machine and the books that go in it. Our kids every student at Wilson was able to get a book from the vending machine at our family engagement night a few weeks ago. Those students that weren't at family engagement still got to get their book on the Monday then afterwards. But our goal is to continue to write grants so that we can continue to fill our vending machine with books, and hopefully our students will be able to get a book from the vending machine at least 3 times a year. We'd like them to get a coin to go to the vending machine for their birthday. We'd like to use it again next year at our family engagement night. And then we want to give each teacher a coin so that they can use their discretion to give students a coin, maybe because they've shown some real growth, or maybe because they've really accomplished a big goal. Whatever the case may be, the teachers can use their discretion, but we're hoping to really encourage kids to fall in love with books and fall in love with reading, and partner with our community to help keep this vending machine filled with books and exciting things for our kids at Wilson.
So just then to conclude, we wanted to mention too, the Hayes Public Library is wonderful in supporting our libraries every year. I can't even remember, I think it was 4 years ago when they started the grants. It was shortly after Brandon Hines became the director there. They came to us and wanted to give us money for our libraries. And so they basically give us a chunk of their budget. Every elementary school gets $650 that we order books, and we send them our list. They order them, they process them, they send them to us, we house them. They're part of the Hayes Public Library collection, but we house them in our libraries and we circulate them. And all we have to do is give the circulation numbers to the public library, because that also helps with them. Megan's smiling because I think she was part of this when
I totally did that.
When we were, when she was still there. And so every elementary gets $650 every year, the middle school gets $1,000, and the high school gets $500. So that right there shows a huge gain that we get from our partnership with the Hayes Public Library. We also have access to a lot of ebooks thanks to them. We use Hoopla and Libby on our school iPads, and Libby actually has morphed into Sora now, which our students use. They love them because they're ebooks that they can have access to. If we don't have it in our collection, we immediately check and see, hey, is it on Sora? The William Allen White books, which I was talking about, all of them are available there, so the kids, if they don't have the physical copy, they're reading them through there, which is wonderful. We also have our teachers, our staff, request a lot of books from the public library. We send those interlibrary loans requests in. They send them to us through interschool mail. It just works very seamlessly. It's we're very, very fortunate. And the upcoming school year, we're partnering with them as well, so that when students enroll, when parents enroll their children, they will automatically be opted in to get a digital Hayes Public Library card, so that they have direct access to all those electronic sources like I was just talking about. They still will no matter what, but it's just, this will be an easier way for the Hayes Public Library to help us keep track of those checkouts and things. So we did what we needed to do. We met with the higher powers, and they're making that happen for them and for us to make that partnership even more seamless next year. So those were just a few of the things that we wanted to highlight, and say again, thank you so much for believing in the vision of our libraries for our children. And so our students are not living in book deserts. They have direct access to the professionals that can help them learn how to love reading and fall in love with reading. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Krista, could you tell, I was just trying to write this down, what is the distribution of our libraries? We have 2 or 3 schools that have full-time librarians.
O'Laughlin and Roosevelt and Wilson currently have full-time librarians. Karen is split between Lincoln, Hayes Middle, and Hayes High. And when Lincoln closes, she'll just be splitting between Hayes Middle and Hayes High.
So what's that split now? And how long are you at Lincoln?
So right now I'm covering library classes at the elementary school. At the middle school and high school, I don't have library classes per se. We have classes that use the library come in. But I'm at Lincoln 2.5 days a week. And then I'm at the middle school and high school each 1 day, and there's a half day. I alternate weekly between them.
Does Lincoln have a full-time library secretary?
I share my library secretary with Roosevelt at this time. So when I'm not at Lincoln, she's there.
So there's time that the library is not covered, so kids can't get books during that time?
Generally, there is somebody always there. Because since we share our library secretaries, there should be somebody in a normal year that's there every time.
Yeah. Well, y'all do a great job, and I know my kids loved library. You know that, and it was terrific for them, so thank you so much for what you do. All right, that takes us to 4.3. And
Okay. We want to recognize tonight our Region 1 teacher candidate of the year, Jesse Warner. Each year, the district selects a Teacher of the Year candidate to participate in the region. Jessie was selected as nominated by the district, and she, after a crazy night, you don't have to go into it, everything's good. She was recognized in Salina, and we're just really thankful for Jessie for what she does, and just very appreciative of the work she does with kids in this one. So, Nina, do you want to say anything?
Sure.
Jessie does not want to speak, so.
Well, I would just say thank you. I was so honored to represent USD 49 and my home base, Wilson Elementary. I was a product of 49. I went to Roosevelt, and then I went to Felton Middle School, and then I went to Hayes High. And so I've kind of been a lifer in Hayes America, and so I'm really, really proud to represent my district, my school, and my community. And I hope I did it well. But it was a great opportunity, and it was very interesting. And I was just honored to be there. So it was very neat. Thank you.
So I taught this. So when we talk about things that are important to us, when we live out our mission every day, we talk about building relationships and providing quality learning experiences, and there isn't a teacher that I know that better does that than Jessie. So thank you.
thank you for all that you do, Jess. Okay, that brings us to the superintendent's report.
Okay, just a few things to run through. I'll try to go fast here. You are seeing lots of building going on out at Hayes High. They have really established what is areas D&E. You'll see the structure is an area of D&E. So it's really looking like something is going to be built there for the long term. I think what you will see here in a very short amount of time, you're going to start to see those precast walls go up, and that will actually be in areas A and B, or area A actually, and that'll be an auditorium. And so all of a sudden we're going to have look like a huge piece of the building will be built just almost overnight. So things are progressing, going really well. Once again, Roosevelt, lots of work being done. We've got a busy summer to really get some some major work done inside the building. So we're very thankful to the Apples and the work they're doing. They're just been fabulous to work with. So, I wanted to also include that, just kind of wrap up the legislative session. Since our last meeting, we did get a K-12 funding bill. I think just some of the highlights, once again, they did add some money to SPED, special education, and also provided the funds for that we were part of the GANA lawsuit. And so base aid will benefit from that for the next year. Some other things that were inside the funding bill, and that this is probably some of the things that maybe we haven't really talked about. The funding task force is being established. I think the important thing there is to know that they are going to be working on rewriting the finance formula, the school finance formula, over the next couple of years. And so it will be really important as we pay attention to what is coming out of that. It's been, I think, back in 1992 was the last time the school finance formula was even looked at. So this will be a big change if there's some things being proposed. Some things on at-risk accountability plan. I think the thing is that they have really given us some money for at-risk, which has been great, but they're also putting some parameters on what we can do with that. And so they are starting a 2-year pilot program. There will be 10 districts selected. We are not aware if we're one of those districts. We possibly could be, but may not be. And they will pilot the at-risk accountability plan that's being put in place. And then starting in the following year, we will all fall under those guidelines. So some things we'll be interested to see how that goes. The open enrollment piece I think that really is just more about giving priority to students who maybe live in Kansas over those who don't. I don't think that'll probably affect us very much. I think the virtual student bill allows virtual students to participate in CASE activities without a minimum enrollment requirement, which before was always a requirement of enrollment inside your building, the actual building. So we'll see if that we have students that want to participate in that. The Safe and Secure Schools grant was also included. Some things with cameras and software. I don't know if we'll take advantage of any of that. Counting of students, which we've talked about at the meeting, I think we'll either be counting starting next year. We'll either look at our current enrollment or the previous year as what our enrollment will be. Next year we can count the average of the past 2 years, but then starting the following year, it'll just be the current year or the previous year. Really some other things. The one thing that the school district building closure, as we look at closing Lincoln, will be some things that we'll have to do there. Of course, we'll have to pass a resolution and have a public hearing, which we'll plan to probably do in January or February of next year when the legislature is in session. That way they can act on, because we have to give them 45 days to see if they want to purchase. Or there is a kind of a thing that they've added, the LLC, which is Legislative Funding Committee. They can take action and waive that right to purchase if they're not actually in session. So I think those are things that I think are, from overall, we feel really good about the bill and feel like it will benefit from it. And going forward, we'll see how some of these other things that have been added, how that will affect us. Summer school update, Shannon wants to give a little bit of an update.
We will have summer students, middle school and high school students, summer learning opportunities. High school also has students before the summer credit retrieval that gets started next Monday, May 20th. And the high school classes will be in the middle school due to construction there, so that will all be happening there in the middle school, which we did that a few years ago. And then there is no district-wide elementary summer learning opportunity just due to lack of interest in staff. We knew that if we didn't have the staff and this huge commitment, then it wouldn't be a quality. So sense everyone will be more successful. So that's the vision and the goal for down the road as we get to the construction and things.
Chris is going to talk about the next three things.
First one, at risk and the republish the budget. Just put together a little handout because it was kind of hard to explain as we were just talking arbitrary in numbers. But if you see in board docs, so the light gray column is the required transfer. So out of 06, which is general fund, and 08, which is supplemental general fund, we are required to transfer the money that is generated for our at-risk. So the question is, do we have to spend it on at-risk? Absolutely. That's a required transfer that goes in. But there's nothing that says we can't spend more. And so if you look at the little darker gray, the darker gray is what we had budgeted in our original budget to transfer, so it was more than the minimum requirement. With the lighter yellow then is after we republished, when we ended up with more free lunch students, so the at-risk funding went up. You can see what our original budget was still higher than what our required transfers were, even with the additional students. We did use it to raise some of the at-risk spending, so just wanted to be able to kind of put it on paper and show you what that is, because when we're just talking numbers, it kind of gets arbitrary. So then in the darker gray and then the darker yellow below, you can see that's actually Fund 13. That's the at-risk funds. So you can see what we expect to spend, what we budgeted to spend out of that fund, and then in the darker yellow is what we'll end up spending this year after the republish. So want to get those. Any questions on that risk? Migrant. That's kind of a follow-up one also. So after we had a fairly long discussion about migrant services, a couple of days after that, I got an email from KSDE, and the state's migrant allocation from the feds is reduced about another $500,000 due to numbers going down in the state. And so they're saying we still have an allocation, although the minimum requirement for number of students is 40. They're granting us the ability to keep our program at about 22 kids. And as you know, we hadn't been able to fill our migrant position, so we were working with Oakley. Well, a couple of days after we got notice from KSDE that the allocation's going down, the Northwest Kansas Service Center, Oakley, got notice that they will not be able to maintain a migrant program, their migrant program status next year. As a part of those cuts, the state is moving to one service center to administer all of the migrant programs, and that's out of Eudora. So the maybe silver lining is that we've been in conversation with one of the current service providers that is in the Oakley Service Center. Their program will end June 30th, and so as of July 1, we've been talking with her about coming over and running our program as long as we can keep it alive. They have told us we would get at least one more year of allocation, and then after that, we don't know. So we were really happy with what Oakley was doing. They did a good job. It's sad to see all of that get moved to one service center out of long ways away from Hayes. So we'll do what we can for a year, and we'll keep you up to date on how the search for a provider goes. Anything to add, Jim?
So we currently have that advertised?
It's been
for that
advertised
position?
since September. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long are they going to continue to do it till the end of the
June 30th?
June 30th.
Yep.
And so they're doing our COEs and everything. Mm-hmm. Now, will they continue to do that for us, the new provider?
If we choose to, one of two things, either we would choose to contract with them because we can't fill the position, or at some point when the state pulls our program status, then we won't have a choice. They'll become the
Is that a full-time position?
It's been 30 hours a week, 12 months.
And is that considered the director or just a staff person that helps?
It is everything. It's been a one-man shop for the last 4 years. So it's the recruiter, it's the family liaison, and it's the reporting and the accountability person.
So have you looked at splitting that up or putting it in?
There's not enough in the allocation. Our total allocation is $45,000 for migrant, has been for the last 3 years. So we may end up having to combine it. That's the conversations that we're having right now. We may have to find other positions also, talking classroom aid or something like that maybe they could do for part of the day. And then
Could one of these support specialists be helpful with that?
Say again?
One of our, with his new position, the support specialist? Not do all of it, but not the recruiting, but do help like the reporting and be the oversee,
Well,
like
that person
director.
that person can do the job. I mean, there was enough time in 30 hours to do all of that. But it's just been a matter of finding somebody who was willing, who wanted the position. Last thing I had was just an update. I had the opportunity, the pleasure, I guess, to attend the Chamber Community Cruise. And as I'm looking here, I guess there was a lot of board members too, so I'm kind of speaking to the choir. But it was exciting an exciting event that the Chamber puts on. We literally jumped on a bus and went to 17 different stops to see all of the exciting things that are going on in Ellis County and Hays. The things that I think, everything from commerce, education, medical, all of the different economic pieces that are in play, and the people that are working really hard to keep Hays and Ellis County poised for growth and continuing to grow in a part of the state that doesn't often get to celebrate growth. So it was extremely exciting to be a part of that. And I don't want to brag, but the only stop that got applause and cheers was as we talked about Hays High and Roosevelt as we went by there. The other programs were just as good, but nobody cheered for them.
Your 4 or 5 board members that were on the bus.
Chris, I think that
Have anything to do with us.
cheering the presenter.
Oh, I doubt it. I don't think it was that. No, it was, yeah. But it was a lot of fun, and anybody that has an opportunity to do that, I would strongly suggest it.
I just wanted to highlight that our Hays Indians won this year's WAC Champions Cup. This is our first WAC Champion Cup triumph, and so we are just thrilled that the performances by our student athletes this year and their extracurricular activities got us the WAC Cup. So credit to all our coaches. That's pretty cool. Being in a league with 3 6A schools makes it very difficult to win, just because there's so many sports, 22 sports activities that are counted in this, and so sometimes it's a numbers game, where some of those 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place, 6th place count against you when they have more numbers. So good job.
Some of the schools got 3 times the amount of hits too.
Yeah.
That makes it a little
so
different.
this is pretty impressive. Credit, like I said, coaches, administrators, student athletes for the work that they did. And I think Ken already mentioned the retirement breakfast this Friday starts at 8 o'clock. We'd like to celebrate our retirees. Please claim them. All right, that's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Wilson.
Yep.
On the school closure we're talking about, are we going to have an opportunity to talk more about that? Because that really is always just, when we got the bond, is almost just moved that we were going to do that. But there's a lot of other options. Other districts have done some things that are pretty cool as far as a building enclosure closing, that they talk to the community, and there's some planning to like more daycare, senior care, a lot of options that our district could be a good leader in that, but at least some discussion and talking about it, not automatically saying that we're going to sell it or get rid of it, because there's a lot, and we really haven't had, and the hearing ought to be before we hearing and then we vote on it the same night. That process is not, I don't think, is the way it's meant to do. But so we should probably think about having that hearing quite a bit early so we can have people in the community talk about it, that school closing, because that's really a community decision that we should get feedback from our board to hear what we got to do about that. Is there an option for something like that?
Well, yeah, the board wants to discuss it.
Is there's, I mean, maybe,
Just so you know, and I just want to clarify, it is the board's decision, it's not the community's decision. The board will make the decision to close, so that's...
sure, I understand that, but we ought to be able to get the input from the community. And I don't know how we would do that unless we have some kind of a meeting to allow that. But maybe some board members would like to go visit or find out, because I know Augusta has done something like that, and maybe Independence, where they've, and I don't know if you're aware of those options, but maybe we could.
Has anybody reached out to us, Ron, in regards to?
Yes, I've had individuals who have reached out to me and just kind of wanting to know some timeline, indicating they have some interest in purchasing the building. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go forth on that, but they have just kind of wanted to know their timeline, or our timeline. So I've kind of just tried to be upfront, sharing that this will probably take place sometime next year.
Have you got some estimates on the appraisal?
Yeah, we talked about this plenty. There's really not appraisals for schools, or that's, I mean, most schools are usually, most elementary schools, sometimes they're hard to get rid of. And so I don't want to say too much because I don't want to hurt our selling point, but we were very fortunate with Washington. We got a very fair price, I think, from a developer. We're hopeful we can maybe see that going forth. But yeah, there's really no appraisals for schools. That's really not something that you know.
Well, there's a county appraisal, and I think it's over $2 million. And
yeah, we're not going to get $2 million. I mean, once again, I don't want to say too much, but I think that's.
Well, we've done a good job of maintaining that building, and it's in a key part. And we could look at maybe dividing it like the group before. They bought it for $500,000, $490,000. They sold half of it off for $200 and some thousand. So that's options that we ought to look at.
So Alan, what I'm hearing is we've got the time to talk about it, and so let's do that. We'll plan that at a future upcoming board meeting to have the opening discussion, and then I'd say from there the board talks to the public and we can come back. It doesn't sound like it's going to be at least a year before the final decision has to be made, so that'll give us that timeline. And so, tell you what, we will.
The first thing, just so to clarify, the legislature has the first right of refusal to purchase the building. So if you close the building. So
okay.
We have to go through that process first. So.
And that's through state
but not if we
regulations?
Not if we decide to keep the building or to lease it out to somebody.
Yes, it's true.
Okay, so let's plan on September, putting that on the agenda, and September?
That would be way too late if we're going to have the hearing.
Well, you can't, we really don't want to have the hearing. We can't, I mean, the legislature has 45 days to act on it. So they won't go back into session until January of next year. So September will probably work out pretty well.
Yeah, and it'd just be a discussion. We won't make a vote because that's what you were saying there. And so,
Well, but there ought to be some research out for people reaching out and looking at other options. Maybe there's somebody in the community that has some ideas.
Yeah, that's why September would be good for that. So let's plan on that, and then we'll just take it from there. At this time, we'll go on to 6.1, under action discussion items, evening janitorial services contract.
Good evening. So this is something that's been ongoing for the last 4 years at some extent or other. Since COVID, the workforce just isn't the same as what it was pre-COVID. And I know a lot of businesses, and I'm talking to Bryce with Clean Right, that they're taking over more and more around the area doing the same thing. We've been open at least one position for probably off and on for at least the last 3 years, and sometimes multiple positions. Clean Right's been helping us out for that during that time frame. Basically what we're doing is we're just coming to the contract of saying, okay, rather than Bryce trying to guess how many people we need for the year and stuff, just coming to the realization that we need to enter into a contract with them and just go ahead and contract the one building. Currently we're down 3 custodians for, we've got one that's out right now for long-term that will be coming back, but we're down to 3 basic cleaners at the high school. I don't see that changing, and looking in the future, I've got about 4 more custodians that are at retirement age that'll probably be retiring out here in the next couple of years, and I've got 1 more that's probably in about the next 3 years, and if we don't replace them any better than we have been, we're going to even have trouble filling our daytime positions. So, going to contract, we're looking at contracting to do the high school with the option of picking up the middle school if we go down staff and can't rehire. And so we're basically extending what we've been doing. We're just giving him a better ability to plan is what we're doing.
Are those people leaving because of pay?
Well, it's a mix of things. Pay is one of the things. Night position's another. I think where Bryce or Clean Right, where they have a little better deal than we do is right now they're working with a college sorority. So instead of, we typically hire one person for an 8-hour shift, and they're there from 2:30 or 3:30 till 11 or 11:30, depending on how they do their meal time and stuff. Bryce is hiring college kids. They have the ability to work when they want to, there's so many of them, and then they don't come in and clean an 8-hour shift. They may come in and only clean a 3 or 4-hour shift, but there's enough of them to do the equivalent of what 3 8-hour shifts were. So I think that's a little more appealing to them than doing the evening part. I've lost some to higher wages. I've lost some because they had the ability to go to a daytime job. They didn't want to do the evenings. It's just a mix. I don't know if there's any one thing that I could say is the culprit to it.
So
and then
this proposal extends into the new high school.
Correct.
So do we have enough staff, even with Clean Right, to take care of the new high school?
Well, so square footage wise, we're going to be a little larger than what we currently are if you don't close Lincoln. If you close Lincoln, then that shifts staff. That staff can be shifted into the other buildings, and that picks up that square footage. And that's sort of been the plan all along with it. The other thing I want to say about this, it's a moving target. If you look at the proposal, it does not cover anything in the summer. And right now, that's not a big deal because with all the bond work and stuff that's going on, we're not able to do the cleaning that we were doing, so we're getting by in the summers with the shorter staff that we have through the summer. The other thing is with the bond work, some of the flooring services are changing, so they're not as labor intensive. They're non-wax surfaces, so we're not going to be doing all the waxing and stripping that we've done in previous years. So this plan may come back next year. I mean, we may come in this year and say, here's where we're at, and come in next year and say, hey, we couldn't hire middle school staff, and with the increase, what we're going to be contracting for this for the next year. And I might get totally surprised, and maybe all of a sudden people start showing up and putting applications in, and we go the other way. I mean, we've talked that ideally we'd like to keep our own staff, but right now, that's not working.
And when you look at that proposal for future, your staff, I'm assuming, takes care of the baseball fields, the football field?
My maintenance staff, if we break it, custodial housekeeping is the cleaning side, and then the ones that are doing all the maintaining is maintenance. The maintenance staff, I haven't had the turnover in. And so we'd still be maintaining all that pieces of it through the maintenance staff. In the custodial side, typically the custodian's been that person through the day that's meeting the needs of the building, light maintenance work, some of those kind of things. We're going to try to maintain those positions. The positions that we're going to be hiring out would be what I would call housekeeping staff. They're just strictly cleaning positions. The one that we're still juggling is events, because we have all the events in there, and we're still looking at evening people doing those events. And we have that built in to do that. Now, we may have to see we may be contracting to do part of the cleanup. Currently, we've been covering a lot of that with overtime, with our own staff coming back in afterwards and helping with the cleanup. So it's evolving. It'll be evolving over the next 2 years for sure, with all the new buildings coming on and changing. looking at how the buildings lay out, how we manage it. Right now, we're district-based cleaning, but we're site-based management in how our custodial staff works in the buildings. There may be a little bit more of a group base to that. We may group buildings together to help do that management piece of it while we hire out the cleaning piece. We're looking at all kinds of options. The other thing that I want to stress, I've met with all my custodial leads, the main guys in the buildings, and they know this is here. They know we're at this point. When I came here 10 years ago, contracted services was being looked at as one of the options, and everybody was really worried and upset, thinking they were losing their jobs or going to be farmed out to another organization to work for them. I think everybody's at the realization that this is just supplementing what we're doing. I don't see the anxiousness in my group now that I would have 10 years ago. So everybody's wanting to work on it and try to come out to a solution that's going to be the best for the district. Now, one of the things that we are currently doing, we've purchased a lot of equipment. When we had ESSER money and stuff, we were looking at equipment that would help with the labor so that we could, in the shortage of staff, pick some of that up. A lot of that's new. I want to continue to maintain that. A lot of contracted services that contract out supplies and staff. We're not proposing that. We want to go ahead and keep our own equipment and stuff, so if we can switch back to district base, we will. Right now, we're just looking at contracting the labor piece of it.
So they use our supplies, we purchase supplies, and
We
they
purchase
don't bring their own?
supplies, yes.
Now, is there some equipment, they will not use some of our equipment because it's probably, they need to be trained? You don't want an 18-year-old maybe on your automated scrubber?
So the automated scrubbers and stuff, the way we use those, that would be our staff using those, but all the other equipment they use of ours.
So who will be supervising them? Are they in a crew?
So it's a split supervision. Right now, when we first hired them, we were using them in the elementary setting. And in my elementaries, we had night staff with our day lead custodian overseeing it, but he wasn't on site. He was basically giving us reports from the next day. Since then, with moving them into the high school, we have a night lead over there, and the night lead custodian can work with them and do that. And then Clean Right has a lead that goes with their staff to organize and have them do the work that needs to be done there. So in the high school and the middle school, going that direction, it's been better because we actually have our staff mixed in with their staff to do the work. And if we ever looked at going, if it ever got to the point we were going to the elementary, we'd have to go to that same model there too, just so that we have that supervision in the evenings.
So the intention with this is to still have somebody as a lead from our district? Is that still going to be the intention?
To have leads?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, that may change as to how many we have.
Was this bid out or just one vendor?
We looked at actually 2 different vendors and looked at 2 different models, and both of them came out fairly close to the same. The other model that we looked at was a company, where were they at, Chris?
Out of Nebraska.
And in their model,
local company?
In their model, we were doing the same thing, only they were hiring people to come into an 8-hour shift and making them part of our employees. And there was an option, still looking at that as possibly an option. I mean, this is a local vendor. We've had success with it. The pricing was about the same. We decided to stick with what we knew and then look down the road to see because it may be a blend. We've had that conversation with Bryce that we may be looking at a blend in order to do it, to fill what we need to do. It may be a combination at some point of our staff that we've contracted through at 8-hour cleaning, and then what we're currently looking at doing with Bryce, where it's just a group that comes in and cleans with no set hours.
Was there other local companies you checked
We had
with?
none that contacted us on it.
Well, you didn't send out a bid or anything? You just been working with the ones that we've been working with?
We worked with the one. I didn't formally send out a bid process for it, no.
So starting 3 years ago, we had reached out to multiple cleaning service providers, and Clean Right was the one that could actually fulfill the need. It's a contracted service, so it's not something we have to bid. Like Rusty said, we've been working with them for the last 3 years. We've kind of worked through the kinks and come to a really good relationship with them. I wouldn't necessarily recommend trying to bid it at this point. I think I would recommend, recommending going with the group that we know and that we've been working with.
This is a 3-year contract, but you mentioned that you might be coming back in a year, and what does that mean? Is there an exit?
Basically in the contract, it states how we're hiring. It would be just basically coming in and updating you that instead of the 3 or 4 that we have, it's going to be 5 or it's going to be 6, depending on how we can hire. And it would just be more of an update. The contract already covers what the cost of those extra individuals would be.
So we're locked in to the contract for 3 years on price?
On price.
On price, yeah. And that was probably the biggest motivator to actually go to a contract. We've been working with them as more of a staffing agency for the last 3 years, really. As we've been able to fill spots, then we've cut back a little bit, and then right away we end up with another open spot. So then we're going back to them and they're adding. And so it's been, that flux back and forth has been really difficult, not only for them to keep their staff up and going to react to our needs, but we've been paying more for it because it's been more like a staffing agency. By going to this, it becomes more of a long-term relationship. He knows how many he's got to have as a base, and then going forward. So it brought the price down of it quite a bit.
So comparing, we will save a lot of money. We do not have to have workman's comp because they take care of that. They take care of no insurance because no benefits.
So the cost of staffing is very in line with what, so we run, as we looked at this latest go around with the other company out of Nebraska, like Rusty said, that was doing more I guess we're doing more of a staffing agency now. We've been going kind of as a temp agency. When we put in line what we would spend on total input costs for FICA, insurance, benefits package, all of those things, to what we're paying for the contracted service right now, it's very in line. So it's not a huge, I wouldn't say it's a huge savings over if we were hiring our own, but when you look at the total input costs of our employees, it's very similar to that.
So is that the purpose of the 3-year contract then?
Yes, the purpose of the 3-year contract was to get the price down because it now becomes predictable, yes.
I have one more question. In reading the contract, it says all backup services may be requested. I don't know. Can you explain to me what a backup service is? And they're going to charge us $36 an hour?
Basically, that's going back into looking at if we have them do any game cleanup or anything like that.
What?
Well, the game cleanup, it was more like catastrophic. So if we had a pipe break and we had to call, because we don't have enough staff now to go.
So it's an emergency?
Yeah. And I see that side of it being very minimal because we've had good.
I understand. I just want to know what we could get billed for.
That would be because we call them and say, hey, we got to have 10 guys right now because the sewer's backing up in the basement of Lincoln or whatever.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the 3-year contract with BP Clean Right. I'd like to second that motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further questions or discussion?
Thank you, Rusty.
Yep. Thanks, Rusty. All right, at this time, I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion to approve the 3-year contract with BP Clean Right to provide evening janitorial services for USD 489 school facilities, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, vote no. All right. I'm not getting the question, Jess.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. It's not coming up.
Never popped up. They never.
I know, but verbally, did I vote yes?
Yes.
It's just not happy.
Then do you think we're okay to go on and just answer it when it pops up?
Just have a roll call vote. Go.
No pressure. You did great. Oh, we did?
Okay. All right, we'll go on, and that is approved. 6.2, activity bus purchase.
Back in March, I was here for the work session. We talked about transportation. One thing we talked about was a 5-year purchasing plan, and I was looking at buying another activity bus in the fiscal year 24-25, which starts in July. Master Transportation came to us and said they had one left over from this year's pricing for $312,400. If we don't buy this bus at this time, the new models are coming out towards winter time, and they're starting at $325,000 and going higher. So they knew we was looking interested in the bus, so they asked us if we was interested in this one at this time. If you approve it tonight, we will not take ownership of the bus till July, so it'll still be, you're approving it tonight, but we wouldn't take ownership or pay for it till July of 2024, so when that fiscal year starts. By doing that, we can save a little bit of money, and then we could also get it in service by when school starts, in August. Once I get that in service, I have a yellow activity bus I'll put on Purple Wave to replace that. And then also on the graphic side, which we haven't done in the past, we're going to get some quotes and going to do that locally this year instead of doing with the bus manufacturer in the past. So,
can you mention again?
Any questions?
Mention what bus are you replacing?
Just a yellow activity bus that we have. Yeah.
How many of the new ones do we have? Is this be number 4?
We have 2 right now.
2. There'll be the third one.
This will be the third. Yes.
And the same. It's bigger than the yellow bus that we're getting.
Just one more seat than.
Okay.
One more seat than what we have now. 51 passenger versus a 50 passenger. But everything else is basically the same on the bus.
And it matches the other 2 that we have? They're all the same?
Yeah, same body style. Yeah,
same size?
If they didn't have graphics on it, you wouldn't notice the difference between them.
Okay.
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the purchase.
I got a couple more questions.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
That's okay.
I guess my question is, like, during the work session, it was proposed that the activity bus was going to be $200,000 and then $100,000 for the 1 car and 1 Suburbans for a total of $300,000. I guess, at that time, we knew that we bought buses in 2020 and 2021 for $277,000. Like, why did we budget so low or propose so low when we knew it was going to be higher?
Obviously, this year, if we get this activity bus, we won't be able to get the car and Suburban this fiscal year. The activity buses we bought before was $259,000, went $277,000, so I was expecting another $20,000, $30,000 jump. But there's a high demand for them, and everybody's buying them. Everybody in the WAC's been buying these buses, so demands went up there, so the prices went way up on them. So it is a little over budget, yes.
Well, I understand that, but we already had purchased the buses prior years before we came up with this, proposal for $200,000 or like the 5-year outlay. When you came and talked to us, we had already purchased 2 buses.
Yes.
For more than $200,000. So I guess my question is, why did we say it was going to be $200,000 when we knew that was not going to be true?
The $200,000 at the time, I was looking more of a yellow activity school bus versus this Freightliner.
Okay.
The yellow activity buses are a lot less. They're more school bus related. So those are around a little over $200,000.
Is there a reason why we need to go with the bigger bus? Are we lacking that? We need that much more size? Or?
Well, one thing is the quality of ride that they give. Next year we're going to Denver for a football game. We go to Kansas City a lot, Wichita a lot, Liberal. We take we're in those buses 6-7 hours round trip, and just they're a lot more comfortable to ride in than what a yellow school bus is. So that's what a lot of people across the school districts are getting. So.
And I would add saying, especially because we're in Hays, and Hays is very different than literally any other city in the state of Kansas. We travel more than any other city, period. Talking to other students, and they're like, oh yeah, the longest we've had to travel is like 45 minutes, and your jaw drops because the shortest distance that Hays travels for any kind of sports is Great Bend, and that is like the nicest trip. So being stuck on the side of the road is not fun.
No, but
and those are very long trips. So I understand.
The school bus proposal, everything, like the earliest bus to come out of retirement was 2039, so it looked like our fleet was pretty new and well maintained and like mechanically sound. I just seems like every time we come here, we're spending a couple $100,000 here, a couple $100,000 there. Like, I don't know that we need to.
And the $300,000 that started 10 years ago.
and that was a number to get us rotating the fleet. I've had some conversations with Chris and Ron that $300,000, what bought me 10 years ago, doesn't even come close to buying stuff today. You know, buses went up $30,000, $40,000. So,
Well, I get that,
so
but-
we're looking at trying to maybe increase our budget, you know, also to kind of keep up with inflation.
Do you
Oh, I
have
get that.
rollover? Sorry.
Oh, no.
Do you have rollover? Like if you have 100,000, 300,000 this year, you only spend 250,000, you get to carry that over next year or not? No?
So it's all, I mean, it's all in the capital outlay budget.
Okay.
I mean, it rolls, oh, yes, you don't spend capital outlay to zero, there is carryover.
Right.
We haven't in the past said, oh, Russ, you spent 270. I mean, we look at it as the big pot of capital outlay funds, and that's what Russ and I have been talking about and working towards is when he started, we were in such bad shape that it was, you put 300,000 at it a year. That got us to a point where, as you said, Derek, things are in pretty good shape. And so now we're sitting down and honing in and saying, okay, what is going to be next? And actually doing more of a projection instead of a flat amount to keep a rotation going.
But I guess, are we sending 3 buses to one location one time? Are we sending 3 activity buses to Denver, 3 to Kansas City? If we already
Well,
have 2, like,
I can have up to 6 trips a day. I can have 20 to 25 trips a week, and that maxes me out. So those buses are on the road, you know, during our busiest times, just about every day of the week.
Well, I understand, but to get to this point, sorry.
It's okay. So like, you're saying to Denver,
Yeah.
if it's a football team to Denver, that's probably 2 buses. So
Which we have. But
Right.
my point is, like, we need a fancy
Well,
bus.
what if there's a cheerleaders
Right.
that can't
You'll
go?
have
on the same day, we'll also
But
have
see, I got like, I can have,
cross-country that goes to Liberal.
I travel in a bus with no AC and no seat belts, and I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah, and lots of kids died, so,
How many kids died?
I mean, I haven't done the numbers, but
Well,
lots
then
of
that
kids,
maybe
bus safety is a big deal, and it is one of our greatest responsibilities to make sure the kids are safe on the long haul. Long trips mean long periods of time when they can't necessarily do their homework on a bouncy yellow school bus, and these buses allow them to do a little bit, at least, of that work that they're missing, because they are missing entire school days for these activities sometimes.
And maybe we should not be going to
10
Denver.
And
o'clock.
that's a lot of your motive, is so that the kids can actually do their schoolwork.
Well,
And-
Okay.
I mean, seeing you know, I'm in finance, I see that COVID ruined everything. COVID ruined everything. And I can tell you that what was valued in 2021 when COVID hit is not the value that it is today. You can buy an old Ford F-250 pickup for $120,000, and that's just a pickup. This is a bus, so for another $100,000, I don't think that's bad, especially when you have Russ put in there that other districts are also looking at this bus, and if we don't take advantage of this opportunity now, then you're looking at more expense
I guess
for
that's my-
taxpayers later.
my other question is, like, when did we know this was going to be an option? Because, you know, it seems like a used car salesman, like, you got to buy it now or else it's off the lot. I mean,
Well, this is a 2014 model. The rest of them now are all going to be the next year new models.
when did we know that this one was, like, approached you as far as, like, offering it to our district?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, and some other districts had to back out of it, and had been working with the vendor on pricing, so he knew that we was looking at it, and we was looking in July, so he said, if you can prove it, I can hold it till July, and it's not hurting them, and it helps us out, so that's why he had presented to us. If we don't, then it just goes to the next person down the line, and like I said, I'll come back in the fall, but we'll be looking for more money, $325,000 or more. The other vendor's $355,000 for their lower line of it, so.
You buy a $225,000 yellow bus.
So if not, then we go back to yellow buses, and that's what students will have to ride in.
So I would
To stay in
agree
the
that
200,000 range.
I would agree this is a financially wise decision because I do know that they're going to go up. I would ask that maybe we reevaluate how much we put aside for transportation each year, upping that budget from $300,000.
And we have been working a little bit on that lately, yes.
Okay. So I do have a motion and a second, so. Megan.
I have one question. You said these buses are used K-12. You've got a lot of field trips going on next couple weeks that they're going like the rolling hills and stuff like. You use these activity buses for those too.
Very few times does an elementary school get it. It's more for the high school and middle school sports. So that's why we have 3 other yellow school buses, activity buses that we use more for those field trips.
But if this was purchased, more of the elementary probably would get the opportunity to use
Yeah,
it.
you know, I have 5 of them. I try to rotate them as much as I can to keep equal miles on them, you know, so yeah, it could still be something to be used in the future, yes.
Chris, did you have
Just one
something?
thing to note that in the motion, please include that you're using FY25 funds.
Okay, one other question. Sorry. Do we have a room to house it?
In our north side of our shop, that's where we keep our activity buses. We have 5 of them and we store inside there.
So they'll be inside?
Yes.
All right. At this time, I'm gonna, we have a motion and a second, so I will go ahead and...
Mr. Brooks, can
Yes.
you repeat the motion, please?
Yeah, the motion is to approve the purchase of a new activity bus from Master Transportation for $312,400 using FY25 funds.
Thank you.
All those in favor, vote yes.
Yes.
All those opposed, vote no.
Nope.
Yes, does it?
It's not popping.
Yes or no?
I voted yes.
Okay, so, all right. So that passes, and we will go on to 6.3, policy approval. Thank you, Russ, I do appreciate that. IHF graduation requirements and JFCA early graduation.
Yes, those are before you, again, we had tabled them, we had asked for some information, really it wasn't a pressing matter. It will impact this year's 8th graders, so next year's freshman class, and as schedules were made at the high school and pre-enrollment, it's been designed around this. So the 2 policies and edits are there, again, nothing's changed since then. I did consult KASB, and they don't include that exact regulation policy, so their graduation policy won't be updated. We have added in our policy the specific requirements, and that is what will be null and void, starting with next year's freshman class. So that's basically what's been updated in the policy IHF, and then the list of STEM elective offerings were shared a while ago, so I included them. So I guess if there are questions, we can talk about them in either of those, or
So why aren't we waiting until KSB?
they aren't going to do an update.
They're not, because
If they don't add the specific, every district creates local, there's the 21 state minimum, but then every district has added their local district, so they don't have a policy that includes every different
well,
district.
they have these 2 policies. They're
Yes,
just-
so the policy isn't changing, the only thing that's changing for us is the new requirements that have been the local decision above the 21, so they aren't going to have an update to the graduation policy.
I have a question about the, so we send ours to KSB? Did they see and review them?
Yes, I sent them both of them, and then they responded and said they look good, and they aren't, and my question was, we're looking over, and then the question was, we don't want to act prematurely, and KSB is going to send a policy update like they do, and they said there will not be a policy update in the graduation requirements.
I know the State Board of Education will be working on this too.
Yeah, this
So will it change what we are doing now? Why do we have to do it now? Can we wait until after that's taking place?
Well, you can't wait. What I see on the state board kind of had been waiting, and I thought they would meet last week. They're going to finalize like the post-secondary assets and some of those things, which when it changes, it will default and change here. So I guess that's up to you, Alan, or the rest of the board, but we'll just keep kicking this down the road. And so eventually looking to act on it because it will impact that freshman class.
One thing that and/or, I don't know if we can, is it possible that we can not, a graduate cannot follow the state requirements? With that and/or, that kind of means they can be complete all state and/or local graduation. So that means that the state, they could do just the local and not the state? I'm looking at
JFCA is what he's looking at.
that first line. With that and/or, I think there's too much of leeway that, and I think we have to follow state.
Well, state is 21 credits, the state minimum is 21.
So why do you have and/or?
Well, because we have students who do the state and then additional local.
Right. But you cannot, you have to do the state.
Yeah, but our local is more, Alan.
Yeah, so I guess
Ours is greater.
if we say and, then you have to do the 25 and the 21 would be an option. So the or makes it, if you're not going to do the 25 local based on the qualifying events, then the 21 is the minimum.
And it says, we're taking out develop a graduation plan.
Right, well, everything is according to the IPS, it's just more of current, the plan.
Because and you're talking about, what's that? Is that the post-secondary plan? So if they're not going to post-secondary, can they?
But everyone will have some post-secondary, whether it's not, I mean, like the end of the workforce could be post-secondary, go to the military could be post-secondary. So, I mean, post-secondary is wide open to all the array of things.
Right. But a graduation plan is so they can complete their credits and graduate. But we're eliminating that, so they don't have to do
Well,
that?
the individual plan of study is what we call the graduation plan. That outlines, that's what they conference with parents and students and take the interest inventory and create their course, like the students tonight who said the courses that I took to prepare for that, or this and this, that's all part of their individual plan of study, which is basically the graduation plan.
And we're doing this currently? Where they do the letters and everything?
Yes, graduation. What's changing is what's being updated are the new requirements as of next year's freshman.
That last line, I don't ever remember getting a letter that should have been forwarded to the board.
Well, the letter, the writing is addressed to the superintendent, and then we have shared with you this year when we have those. The policy is that it goes to the superintendent and then we share the report. So that's all that is.
And when was the last time we had those? In December?
We had a couple.
Yeah.
Month ago.
Yeah, on this board.
Any other questions?
I have a motion.
I would move to approve. You don't have a motion already, right? No, I would
So
move
is this
to
considered the first or second reading?
We've already had 2 readings.
I'd like to move to approve these graduation requirements as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve graduation policy updates, IHF and JFCA as presented. All those in favor vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed vote no. All right. Hearing no no's,
Yes. Did it come up?
it's showing up there, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we will go on to personnel transactions. Mr. Park, you
Yes,
answer this?
we have 2 of those student support specialists that are added, and those are the new ones. Are we going to have 3 total?
No.
Just 2? My question is, it's not an administrative, so they're coming in with their same salary as a teacher, and there's no additional funds for that position? Okay. And they follow the same salary schedule as the teachers, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve personnel?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving personnel transactions, vote yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed, vote no.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, hearing no vote, to take it that passed. And we will move into executive session location.
No.
Oh,
Please.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Executive session location 6.5. I'm sorry, I worded that wrong, but yeah, that's the title of it. So there we go. Hey, and as we go into that, real quick, I've got the policy pulled up. It's under BCBK. At the end of the time, the board will return to the open meeting, and the room in which the meeting will resume will be specifically stated, and that's as far as we have on the policy.
I would like to make some comments. Dr. Yarmer and I attended a boardmanship workshop in Salina this year where every presenter stated that executive session should be removed from the board room. Then I also have concerns about audio. If this gets left on, somebody plants an audio thing, we're being recorded. The visual thing also concerns me. As I walked in today, you can see that screen that's presented right there as you walk in the doors, and we're putting things up during executive session that can be viewed if we're just, and Jess is our clerk, not our security guard. I don't think that's a position that we need to put her in. I think if we're going to call for executive session, we should make sure we're holding it in a secure location to be respectful of the item and or the person that we're being discussed, and I do not believe this to be a secure room. And for those rooms, Mr. Brooks, I would like to move that executive session should be held in a location other than the boardroom.
Okay, are you suggesting that we make a policy on that?
I'm making a motion that when we have executive session, we're moving out of this room.
Second.
Yeah. For those reasons I just discussed.
And I would just clarify with getting information from Mr. Jeter in regards to that. Mr. Jeter, if you could maybe reiterate.
I'd be glad to. The reference would be the Kansas Open Meetings Act, which provides no guidance on the location of the executive session. So that's entirely within the discretion of the board.
Yeah.
The only thing to keep in mind when you come out of executive session, you need to come back to this room to continue the meeting or to adjourn the meeting.
And you have to re-adjourn on time, or presumably that would be the idea.
Right.
So.
And you'd have to come back to this room.
You would have to come back with 4, so you have a...
If you want additional time.
So would that mean if we said executive session will end and we will re-adjourn at 6:45, would we have to be done with executive session at 6:45 or back in the room at 6:45?
We could have 4 board members come back and vote to extend it.
For extended.
We need probably the president and 3
Right, but I'm saying like the ending time.
Well,
like,
we'd be back anyway. I mean,
the policy,
if
like,
we're done, we're done.
Right, so I'm saying if we're like having a discussion and we're saying it should be done at 6:45, does that mean the discussion ends at 6:45 and we need to make a decision or whatever, or does that mean we need to be back in here at 6:45?
You have to be back in here.
Yeah.
The idea is
It
to
means you
resume
need
the
to be
meeting
back
at
in
6:45.
here.
That's when it will resume.
Yeah. And so the part of the thing is, this is our boardroom. This is our meeting room, and it's not the public meeting room, it's the boardroom.
I'm not disagreeing with Ms. Burke. I'm telling you, this is not a secure location to talk about some things that we talk about. And I think to be respectful for that and those items, we need to move from this room.
I do believe that most boards actually leave and don't make the attendees leave. I mean, from what I have witnessed or seen, but if Mr. Jeter says that it's our decision, then it's our decision.
That's what we've done.
And it is our decision. I'm proposing our decision is that we move.
And you seconded it, Alan.
I need to know what you want the motion to say.
Because this has to be on the policy.
This would be a policy change.
But
I don't think it needs to be a policy.
You're just making this, what Kurt is asking is that the location be changed. So what he's asking is probably consensus from the board is when you make that motion, that you will make the motion to go to the training room. And I don't necessarily know if you should be changing policy because you're going to state the location.
Okay.
You're going to state the location, you state who goes, you're going to state where we return back to the boardroom. At this,
just understand that the thing is, just my input is that, so we're in the training room and you're going to walk back and it's in terms of efficiency, you're, if you want to extend for another 15 minutes, you're going to walk down here. It's going to take, I don't know, 4 minutes. 2 minutes come down, make action, 2 minutes walk back, get reconvened. Then you'll.
Mr. Brooks,
you're gonna extend.
we always take a break anyway. Most of us go down there and use the restroom anyway. The training room is right there. I don't think we're going to lose a lot of time.
And is that correct, Mr. Jeter? You don't have to have it as a policy?
No.
It's agreed upon procedure by the board. That's it.
I have no other discussion.
Let me rephrase that answer. It'd be the board's discretion whether to make it a policy or not.
The board's discretion to make that.
But it wouldn't have to be in policy.
Okay.
You just need to know what people want to do.
All right, so
You can make a motion to stay here, and if people don't want to move, or if they want to go somewhere, they don't approve.
Mr. Brooks, the motion I made was executive session should be held in a location other than the boardroom, and it was seconded. That was the motion.
Okay, so do you have that, Jess? All right, so we have a motion and a second to state that executive session will be held in a room other than the boardroom. All those in favor vote yes.
Yes.
All those opposed vote no. No. Probably not.
So stay over there. Mine did. You cleared yourself out.
Jess, what do you have? Okay, passes. All right. Okay, so now we will be going into executive session, so I'm going to add an extra probably 10 minutes to our time. We'll just handle it that way. So I'm going to make the motion for us to go into executive session pursuant to Kansas Open Meetings Act for the purpose of matters relating to employer-employee negotiations, whether or not in consultation with the representative or representatives of the body or agency in order to protect the district's right to the confidentiality of negotiating position in the public interest. And the open meeting will resume here in the boardroom at 8:45, and we will meet in the, what's that room called?
So how long do you count for executive session?
Let's see. So we'll take a 3-minute break, and then I've got 20 minutes, 8:45. Okay. And so,
Well,
yeah, but if we
we
need.
resume earlier than that, so.
Okay, and then what's the room called? What's that room? Training room.
Will be action after.
I've been doing the negotiations.
Yeah, I don't know what to call it, though. Okay, but we got to vote still. Don't leave, we got to vote. So that's my motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Did your motion include who's to be present?
Oh, to be present is the administrative staff and the board and Mr. Jeter.
No action after the...
No action, there'll be no action after.
Go on, man. Silly goose. Silly goose.
Aren't you a funny man?
All right. So they're all going, but is there any other?
Jess, I'm sorry. I
All those in favor vote yes.
turned it off for security
Yes.
reasons.
All those opposed vote no. All right.
I'm going to have to leave it behind.
All right, so let's meet in there and 8:25.
But I don't want to.
should have went around.
It's getting
Thank you.
eventually.
All right, we are adjourned.
We have to reconvene.
What?
Don't you have to reconvene and then adjourn?
Oh, we are reconvened. We are adjourned. We don't.